Hi everybody. Today we are going to do a Bible study from Mark 12. Here, Mark 12, verses 41 to 44. It's about the widow's offering. I know sometimes people oversee this, but there's more into it. So let's start. Let's get started. All right, verse 41. Jesus sat down opposite to place where the offerings were put and he watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Okay, well, Jesus never, this is probably why we the one-time thing, because why Jesus was just sitting there and watching people. Okay, he is observing, and he's observing, what is going on. And second, he's waiting for the right person to come along. He's waiting. So that's why he said comfortably, he knew at one point somebody would come there that is significant. Watch the crowd putting their money into the temple treasure. So what's a crowd? It's not just like one or two just coming, by and put the money. It was in the temple. So people put in the crowd coming and putting money into it. And he's just sitting there opposite to that. They will not disturb anybody and watching. And we continue that many rich people threw in large amounts of money, right? Because they had. Yeah. So, but a poor widow came. So this was what was Jesus waiting on. A poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins, neither silver, gold, nothing like that. We're talking like the value of the coins were in the metal. Like if you have like 2 coins of gold, the value is higher, right? Silver, much lower, and then we'll go much lower. Copper is like 2 very small copper coins worth only a few cents. Wow. Alrighty. But Jesus reads inside people's soul as well. He reads inside. He reads it through you. It's like your open book to Jesus. When it comes to, anything greedy, holding back, anything, he reads you like a book. Now 43, calling his disciples to him. Why? He wanna teach them, whenever he observes, whenever he knows, he wanna teach his disciples. Jesus said, "Truly, I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others." How come? It's just like 2 cents. It's not the value of the 2 cents. It's her heart. It's her heart that matters. Verse 44, they all gave out of their wealth. because people, they had money, so they gave from what, because they had. But she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on, give it to the treasury in the temple. It's like give it to God. Now, the story ends up here, right? But the teaching doesn't. All right, so Jesus was waiting on this lady. She was a poor lady, to come along. Why? He wanna bless her. How Jesus bless people? All right, let's go in. Okay, let's go in John 21. So what is happening in John 21 is after Jesus died and got resurrected and tell everybody to stay together, and he appears to, to the disciples, appears to Thomas, and in this specific chapter, Jesus is waiting on the shore when Peter and some other disciples, instead of staying praying and waiting for the Holy Spirit, they didn't know what to do to themselves, so they went back to catch fish. But Jesus is trying to get them back where they're supposed to be, like in the ministry. Jesus didn't want them to catch fish and go back to their old habits, old things, because he had to bring them back in the ministry of preaching, teaching people about God's kingdom. But Peter's a fisherman, so he goes back to the old things that you've been. He don't know what else. But so then Jesus comes and he's at the shore, and then it says what happened. Friends, like verse 5, he called them out and says, friends, haven't you any fish? They says, no. They fish whole night, and because that's not their ministry anymore. There's not what God wanted them to do. He said, throw your net on the right side of the boat and you will find some. They did exactly what Jesus said, and they got so many fish, even the net didn't break. And then the disciple whom Jesus loved, we are in John, right? But he doesn't want to say that because Jesus loved me, I was the disciple that Jesus loved. He say the disciple whom Jesus loved, and it gives you to know it was John, because John developed to have a love for God, love for people, and Jesus just loved that. Say to Peter, we answer verse 7, it is the Lord. As soon as Simon Peter heard him say, it is the Lord, he wrapped his outer garments, but he jumps in there. And verse 9, when they landed, they saw fire of burning coals there with fish on it and some bread. And look what Jesus said. Jesus said to them, verse 10, bring some of the fish you have just caught. All right, so this is the key. Jesus brings, he put on the, on the barbecue grill, put fish and bread. So he had it for them, but he wanted them to bring their own the one that they just caught. And then not just that, Jesus helped them with that as well. Why he wanted them to bring their own? Wasn't enough for everybody? Probably was. Jesus cannot bless things that he brings. He's going to bless your things that you bring. He's going to bless them to the multitude of, not necessarily in fish, will bless with like prosperity in anything, You have to bring, this is the lesson that we learned today. You have to bring what you have. Even though it's probably was blessed by God catching those fish, right? They have to bring from their own to put it there in order for Jesus to bless. Like the woman at the temple, in order for Jesus to bless, she had to bring the last 2 coins she had to survive. And Jesus was waiting for that moment because he wanna bless her. And Jesus wanna bless his disciples, which now they become apostles. After this incident, they reinstate Peter and all that. But as says, he had to come and talk to the disciples. Some of them, they got him here, some of them in other places. He has to gather them and reinstate everybody else in the in the apostle ministry. So, right. So we got this, right? I hope. So you gotta bring in from what you have in order for God to bless. Remember the widow's oil? That was with Elisha. When her husband died, and the only thing she had some oil, but probably was expensive oil. And she was looking for something valuable. I have nothing. Like looking inside, what else you probably have, even though a few drops. God wanna bless that. Bring it to the Lord for God to bless it. And let's go and look. We are going to back and look into John 6. I would say verse 9 pretty much, but we'll go like what's happening in this one here. Jesus feeds the 5,000. How? So it says like verse 4, the Jewish Passover festival was near. He was teaching the crowd. There were like so many. And look what Jesus said. When Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming towards him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" But guess what? He asked this only to test him, for he already had in mind what he was going to do. And Philip answered him, "It will take more than half a year wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite." Yeah. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. "Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many?" Because they were like what? 5,000s. Now, even here, Jesus needed for the crowd to be blessed with food. That probably that much food will be for half a year wages. And not just that, that will feed just a little tiny bite. He needed somebody to bring their own in order to bless. Okay? He could bring it from heaven, like, okay, just download from heaven. But it has to bless something that is coming from them in order to bless them, right? That's the catch here. And so they got 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. And guess what? When they had all had enough, so we are in verse 12, had enough to eat, he said to his disciple, gather the pieces that are left over, let nothing be wasted. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves and left over by those who had eaten. Wow. That was the 12 baskets of leftover. Because it's how God operates. It's how kingdom of God operates. You bring what you have and give, not necessarily like the gift to the temple, but help people, give to people, give your time. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be necessary money, but it can be food, it can be your time, helping others, it can be clothing, could be other things. I'm not sure what you have and what you can give, but as you give, God will multiply that beyond the measures. Beyond measures. You may not even think about that, but if you feed people all the time, we have a custom in my culture, and whoever comes in through your doors and is like, oh, you want to eat? I have soup, I have these. You want to, whoever comes, like, make sure that, like, I don't know, it's inside me and all that. I never had problem lacking food. As soon as I start feeding others, giving to others, and the luck was when I didn't. I keep it for myself. That was the time when I didn't have, because I said, I don't have for myself. Why should I give? Then you have to give in order for God to bless. When you don't have, you have 2 little coins or maybe a piece of bread. Remember what Elijah, when it was drought for 3 years, Elijah went to the widow's house when she was with her son, and he says, how are you doing? And I was like, I have little oil and flour. I'm just going to make it for me and my son, and we are going to die. Why? Sorry. Because she was going for little twigs in the forest, but in the neighborhood there, to make some fire, to make those some pancakes, because pancakes require more than just water, oil and flour. And she knew there was nothing else. And what did he say? In order for him to bless, she had to give away. And he says, give me first. Make what you say, that's fine. But bring me first. And she did exactly what Elijah has asked to do. And guess what? Flour never ended. and oil never ended in the house until the rain came down. Can you believe that? God can do miracles, and He will do miracles in your life and my life if we are willing to put our own out there and give it to others in order for Him to bless. You gotta give first. So if you are struggling with anything, food, money, clothing, you gotta give something out first, and God will bless you in return beyond the measures. All right, I hope you enjoyed this teaching as much as I enjoyed it. And till next time, I say goodbye. Goodbye now.